Chapter 16, Sudden Bad News and Thinking Debate. Miranda's Point of View. I was really glad to be getting out of the hospital wing, for the most part. I honestly don't even know what we are, me and Severus, but I'm just glad he's being nice for a change. I'm happy to at least put my feelings out there, and so did he. At the same time, I'm unsure what lies in store in the future. While Severus and I were walking down to breakfast in the Great Hall, I happened to see Hermione sitting on the floor, crying and looking upset. I noticed quickly that Harry, Ron, Neville, and the twins were sitting along by her on the floor. In all the years of knowing Hermione, I've rarely even seen her like this at all. Sensing something was wrong, I immediately let go of Severus and Anne and ran over toward them. Severus stayed behind and lurked in the shadows. I kneeled in front of Hermione as I looked very concerned. "Hermione, what's wrong? What happened?" She looked at me with a tear-stained face. "It's Dad, Miranda. Mom sent a letter saying he got into a car crash and is in the hospital." I started panicking. "Will he be okay?" No one knows much, and I'm guessing Mom doesn't either. But even if she does, she probably won't say anything in a letter to you or me. I should have known something was wrong or something would happen before we left for the school year, Miranda. If only I sensed it. Car crashes are sudden and can be dangerous. It's something that can't be predicted. I couldn't bring myself to say anything else to her as I was in a state of shock to learn that my adoptive Muggle dad had been in a car crash, and who knows how bad he is because he could die. These things are so sudden, I hate them. Suddenly, I felt Severus behind me as he leaned down to put his hand on my shoulder and then kneeled by me. I wasn't expecting him to do that, and neither was everyone else. No one said a word, and since he's a teacher, he stayed by us. For that, I'm glad that he decided to stay. We needed an adult in this type of situation. I know me and Severus are complicated to say the least, but I sensed that he cared. "If anything, Miranda," I glanced at Hermione as she continued. "In the letter, Mom wanted me to tell you right away. I would have said something to you sooner, but I didn't want to bother you since you were in the hospital wing with Professor Snape. So I waited for you to be released once after I found out you were going to be." Thanks, Hermione, for being that concerned about me. And Severus, too. But you didn't have to wait for me to get out in order to tell me something like this. You could have come to the hospital and told me yourself. I was trying not to tear up myself to be strong for Hermione's sake, but I was anyway. I heard footsteps, and I turned to see Professor Dumbledore and Professor McGonagall coming toward us. In a way, it seemed like they already knew what was happening unless they knew something that we didn't. Professor Dumbledore looked at Hermione and me, sighing deeply. "Miss Parker, Miss Granger, I'm afraid I have some bad news." We stood up, shaking to our core. "What is it?" He took a breath as he had sadness in his eyes. "There is an easy way to say this. Your mother informed us personally by letter that your father was badly damaged from his accident and is in a deep coma. Doctors believe he won't come out of it." "So you're saying it's a likely chance that he'll eventually die from being in this coma?" Hermione asked in tears. "Yes, we're so deeply sorry, ladies," Professor McGonagall said in sorrow while watching us. Hermione and I both looked at each other and started to cry immediately. Hermione shouted, "Please tell me this isn't true. This cannot be happening." "There's a very slim chance of him coming out of it, but highly unlikely since he's in a deep coma and barely hanging on. One day, he will die. I'm very sorry, girls," Dumbledore told us both. We started to cry from sadness and in total shock. I can't believe a sudden situation like this can turn your life upside down. I mean, during the summer, he was reflecting on certain things, like how happy he was to see me and Hermione so close, along with him telling me on the night before I had to return here to Hogwarts that he was glad to have adopted me and have me a member of his family, and that he loved me. I know it's Hermione's father, but he's my stepfather. I can only hope things don't change between me and Hermione because of this. I never expected him to be so close to death so soon, caused to a car crash. I mean, I know he hasn't passed away yet, but he's not that far off most likely, and he won't recover from this. Who knows when he will pass, as much as I know that a coma can be close to death. Things like this unfortunately happen in the Muggle world. Hermione and I let go as I stood there, not able to move as tears streamed down my face. Severus unexpectedly pulled me into his arms while holding onto me tightly, knowing that I might lose my balance. I looked up at him as he muttered before I could say anything. "It's fine, Miranda. Don't worry." I guess he knew what I was thinking before I even said anything. I noticed that Ron grabbed a hold of Hermione and hugged her tightly. Harry stood right by her and had a hand on her shoulder as he and Ron looked over at me with concern and sadness. Severus leaned down and whispered in my ear, "If you need to cry, it's all right. I got you." I turned around and started to cry into Severus' chest as I felt him stroking my hair lightly. I guess he didn't care at the moment. Ron let Hermione cry in his chest as Professor McGonagall came by her side to comfort her with words. I heard Professor Dumbledore tell Severus to stay with me and Hermione for the moment, knowing how we are. I felt Severus letting me go as Ron let Hermione go. Hermione and I went and hugged each other tightly, crying. Everyone else stood there around us, not knowing what to say or do. A few minutes later, Hermione and I seemed to stop crying and let go. We held hands as we separated from everyone else and started to walk down the hallway together, trying to process this. She stated she wanted to be with me as she didn't want to be around anyone else at the moment, but she also needed some time alone. I knew how hard this was for her, as it was for me too. He's my stepdad, and I love him a lot. Once we got to our dormitory area, we sat on the couch near the fireplace, and a couple minutes later, Hermione stated that she needed a few minutes alone, and left. As I was by myself, I looked up and saw Harry walking towards me. I patted the empty spot next to me as he silently sat beside me to keep me company. "Where's Hermione?" he asked. "She just needed a few minutes alone, that's all." "Where's everyone else?" "Going to Hogsmeade and getting all of us some ice cream. Professor Dumbledore suggested it, and I came here to check in on you and Hermione." I grabbed his hand. "Thanks, Harry. Really. I'm also sorry I missed out on the first task since I was in the hospital wing." "It's alright. No worries, Miranda. I'm just not really ready for any of this, and for a long time, no one believed me that I didn't put my name in the cup. I don't want any of this." I looked at him as he looked at me. "I know you don't, Harry," I responded as he held onto my hand. "I know things started rough, but you know we're here now and here with you." "I know. I briefly spoke to Sirius way before the first task as well, but I haven't told anyone yet other than you." "Wait, what? How?" "From the fireplace. I don't know how. I told him everything, and he didn't have much time either." "I guess there wasn't much he could say to help either." He nodded his head. "I don't mean to be so secretive, but you're the only one I trust with certain things as of right now, Miranda." "I understand, but something doesn't seem right about any of this." "What do you mean?" "What happened at the World Cup? Your dream? The Dark Mark? Somehow your name ends up in the cup? Something isn't right about any of this, Harry." "I know. That's what worries me." We looked at each other as we both knew exactly why. "I don't mean to bother you at this time about it, Miranda. It just puzzles me is all." "It's okay, Harry. It's a distraction from it, honestly. We both just have to be aware of what happens for the remainder of the year." Before Harry could respond, Hermione came back to join us and sit with us as I let go of Harry's hand. "Is something wrong?" she asked. "Just puzzled about some things is all," I responded to her, because something about the events that have happened this year so far just doesn't make sense. "I know, none of it makes sense." We continued to make small talk until the others joined us, as having something else to chat about in the meantime was a nice tiny distraction from the sad situation at hand that Hermione and I had to come to terms with. I didn't say anything, but I was starting to get worried that all the things that kept happening had something to do with Voldemort, but I felt like Harry could sense that I was thinking it. It makes me scared for all of the bad things that could happen if what I'm starting to think becomes true, but I won't say anything about that yet. After a while, Ron, Neville, and the twins came with ice cream from Hogsmeade and joined us all by the fireplace, trying their best to keep our spirits up. We both ended up smiling for the first time today as Harry handed us an ice cream cone each. Meanwhile, Severus's point of view. After Miranda and Miss Granger left, the rest of us stood there, unsure of what to do or say. Mr. Potter and the rest of them went off somewhere as Albus permitted them to. Minerva ended up leaving soon after that, shaking her head at this situation. It was just me and Albus in the hallway. Albus spoke. "I'm going to keep a close eye on Miranda and Miss Granger, Severus." "Do what you must, Albus." He could tell something was pondering me, but questioned for a moment if he should even ask or not. "What is it?" he asked. I responded, "I don't want to cause Miranda any more pain, but maybe I should tell her to try and forget about me for her protection. Us being together is too dangerous, Albus." "I thought you had feelings for her." "As much as I didn't want to admit it at first, yes, I've come to solely fall for a student. If you tell her, there's no telling how she'll react." "I don't want to hurt her, Albus. She doesn't deserve me. You know that. She has a whole life to discover. I'm falling for her, and I care about her, but a relationship with her at her age, I can't risk that on her or on me. Even more so, not saying if things turn out bad in the future." Albus simply looked at me cautiously. The timing of it, Severus, especially with the news I had to deliver, is unfortunate. "It is your choice, however, Severus. Nevertheless, if she chooses you, that's up to her. But be aware, because you may cause her more pain than she can bear if you tell her this truthfully." With that, he left, leaving me standing there alone. After some time thinking, I decided to be kind and get some chocolate and a few red roses from Miranda and Miss Granger to bring them some comfort out of respect. I didn't hate Miss Granger completely. I respected her as a student. However, I despise the fact that she's a smart know-it-all and speaks out of turn. It would be rude of me to seem so cold following what had happened. After I got some red roses and chocolates from Hogsmeade and came back, I went to the main dormitory area. Peeking through the entrance, I saw her and Miss Granger, that brat Potter, the Weasley twins with their brat younger brother Ron, and Mr. Longbottom. I watched them from a distance, eating ice cream cones, laughing and smiling a little. I smiled ever so slightly to myself, knowing they were bringing both of them comfort. All I want for Miranda is to be happy. I didn't like to see her in such a distressed state. Not wanting to disturb them, I used my wand to write a note to Miranda and Miss Granger. I left a small note with the chocolates and red roses by the entrance. I left the area and went to my personal room. I needed some thinking space. Once I got there, I shut the door and walked over to the fireplace. I started the fire with my wand and sat in my armchair by the fire. I went through my hair in my hand and put my head and my hands near my knees. I'm so conflicted with my feelings and don't know what the right thing to do is without hurting her. I know it's dangerous in many ways to have these feelings for Miranda, especially in the future if Miranda chooses to stay and have a relationship with me. If Lord Voldemort does indeed come back somehow, I'll have to go to him and become a Death Eater and a Triple Agent. If that has to occur, me being with Miranda now might be a good idea. I still don't exactly know what I truly feel for her. I know I like her a lot, but I remember telling myself that I love her. Do I really truly love her as much as I keep saying I do? Is she the one I've been waiting for? Can I ever come to love again just as much as I loved Lily? I don't know. I don't know the answer to any of these questions, and it's a constant battle in my own mind. I know for a fact that Albus trusts me enough for different things. He trusts me to be here, to become a spy in the past, to become a teacher, and to protect those who need to be protected. I didn't want to turn him down again, like I already did that one time by killing Miranda's parents all those years ago. I didn't think he would forgive me, but he did. He forgave me because it wasn't fully my doing. It was the Dark Lord's. It was what he wanted, and both of us knew I had to obey what he wanted, ask of you to do, or to complete. That's one thing I keep from Miranda that she doesn't need to know, because who knows what'll happen if she finds out.